Hey, what's up? This is Rikki. So it has been 2 years since I posted my first IGTV video. And that video was an all about me video, introducing myself, because this was right about the time when I started really posting my yoga on Instagram. And I wanted to let people know who I was and what I was about. So fast forward 2 years later, holy cow, has so much ever happened in my world, in your world, and in my yoga. So over the last couple of years, things have grown and expanded. You know, it started as me sharing my love of yoga, and then it turned into me and two of my awesome friends sharing our love of yoga on social media, as well as teaching virtual live classes. So it's really grown into this beautiful community, hence our community yoga. So I thought, it's been 2 years since my first video. A lot has happened, a lot has changed. And so instead of coming on here and reintroducing myself, I thought I would come on and tell you about what yoga means to me. So what does yoga mean to Rikki? Well, for me, yoga is all about healing. Healing our physical body, healing our emotional body, and reconnecting with our true selves, with our spirit. I know a lot of people think yoga is all about the asanas. It's all about opening the body, increasing flexibility, and being able to do all these cool and crazy yoga poses. And you know what? That is super fun, obviously, but that is not the goal of yoga. The goal of yoga is not to get into an advanced yoga pose. The goal of yoga is to love yourself, to love your body, to express yourself, to find freedom of movement. And over time, with continued practice and dedication, you will reach these moments where your body goes into advanced postures. And it's not because necessarily that you practice to get to that posture. It's because you are dedicated to your practice that your body opened itself over time. So I'm going to tell you about 2 moments in my life when yoga has, quote unquote, saved me, or provided me with an aid to healing. The first time was a very emotional time in my life, and it was during my divorce. And when my divorce happened, it came on what I thought quite suddenly, and I was left very, very heartbroken. Felt like my heart shattered, my world shattered. I had so many emotions inside of me, negative emotions, guilt, shame. I carried a tremendous amount of shame for a long time. And my self-worth really took a nosedive. I was at a very low moment in my life where I didn't feel worthy of love of others, of good things in my life. And I went on like this for quite some time. It was probably a couple of years of me really holding on to this pain in my heart and not dealing with these emotions. And I really started to shut down and close down. I got into a relationship that was pretty negative, and a lot of emotional stuff, turbulence came about in that relationship. But I stayed there, and I accepted things that I wouldn't now ever accept in my life, because that's what I felt I deserved at that moment. And like I said, just a really low moment for my self-worth, my self-esteem. And it was through the practice of yoga that I was able to tap into the physical parts of my body that I had shut down, that I had closed down to build these walls up around my heart. And I was able to open my upper back, which then allowed me to open my chest. And it was physically hard to get into this space because I had hardened this area of my body. But once I got past the physical stiffness, I was able to then start opening and feeling the emotions. And let me tell you, working through your emotions, working through your trauma is not easy. It is painful. But it's going through those painful moments. It's maneuvering through them and feeling them and accepting them and eventually letting them go that allows us to free ourselves from those walls, from being stuck, from being closed off. So I did the work physically, which then allowed me to do the work emotionally. And like I said, it was not easy. There were some moments I would approach my mat and I would do sun salutations or some rounds of cat-cow, and that was enough movement in my body to get my emotions stirring. Sometimes I would do a full practice. I never knew what I was going to do when I stepped on my mat, but I knew whatever I was going to do physically would help me tap into my emotions, and then I would find a release. And there were many times that I would find myself at the end of movement on my mat in tears, sometimes, bawling my eyes out to a point where I was hyperventilating, but I never stopped myself and I never judged myself. I just let myself move through what it was that I needed to move through in that moment. And going through that and crying through that and breathing through that and releasing through that really let me let go and find peace in my heart, come to terms with the situation, and I no longer feel shameful, I no longer feel angry, I no longer feel resentful. I feel very open and free in that area of my body, and I do truly believe that that is for me because of my yoga practice. And the second time that yoga has had a really profound help in my life, healing-wise, is after a major car accident that I was in. I was rear-ended, and I went through an immense amount of pain physically. My hips and low back were completely messed from the seatbelt. My left shoulder was so traumatized from the impact of the seatbelt that for a period of time I could hardly use my left arm. Rotation in my neck and upper back was all severely hindered. So I went through a mass amount of treatment, physiotherapy, massage, acupuncture, chiropractor. I did it all consistently for about 18 months. And that really took me back to about 80% health. I wasn't able to continue with the treatment anymore. My treatment ended at that point in time, and I really dove deeper into yoga at that moment. But during the treatment, I had to dial my yoga back big time, especially in the beginning. My asana practice went from a full practice to very, very modified movements. There was not a lot that I could do. I couldn't do chaturanga. I could hardly hold down dog, a lot of child's poses. But I took that with grace and humility. I cut down my ego and I said, once my body's back to full strength, I'll be able to do these things again. But during this recovery period, I need to let go of where I was in my body and accept where I am and move through my practice in a way that was going to help heal me and that was going to help get me through the treatments and back to full health. So greatly modified practice during treatment, which eventually I was able to add on as I got stronger. And then after the treatment was over, I really dove big time into my yoga practice. And it was at that moment that my body started to get back to that almost 100% stage, and that I was able to go deeper into these asanas. I talked about the advanced yoga postures and how cool and fun it is to do those things. But after taking that time to recover, taking that time to slow down my practice, build up my strength gradually and slowly over that year and a half, I was able to get deeper into postures I had never done before, do more advanced things that I had ever done before. And it wasn't because I set out to reach that goal that I wanted to do the splits, for instance. It was that I was so dedicated to my practice and healing my body that over time, as I let go of the emotional trauma and I let go of the physical trauma, all of a sudden my body just naturally was able to go into these poses with ease, without force, and it just kind of happened. And it's all because of dedication and consistency and coming at yoga from an energetic and healing perspective instead of looking at yoga as a way to get fit or a way to get flexible or a way to do some crazy poses. That stuff comes with it naturally. You will get there with time and dedication and patience. But what I'm trying to get at here is that yoga is so much more than body movement. It's so much more than physical asana. And to me, yoga really is a way to heal and get well mentally, physically, emotionally. So that is what yoga means to me. So as always, I'm so appreciative of this online space to share with you. Justina, Megan, and I, we all absolutely love and adore the virtual yoga space. So thank you for being here. Thank you for following us, for interacting with us. For those of you who take our classes or watch our videos, we are so blessed to have this space and to have you here with us. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for listening. Namaste.